Hello, hello, hello everybody. I downloaded 4 replays here for you that are from professional players, something I usually don't do, but I definitely wanted to bring you guys a little more expanded tutorial stuff. I haven't really done anything tutorial related lately, so what I've done is I've downloaded 4 pro replays, and we're going to be focusing on Stephano the Zerg, who, well, Stephano has been absolutely amazing in tournaments lately. Definitely been very impressed. So we are just going to sit back, watch in first person view, and we're going to look at some of the things he does, and I'm going to try and rationalize those and explain ways that you can kind of use that to improve your own gameplay. So we're going to watch it slightly faster. Stephano definitely being a quite amusing player and pretty well mannered too, I'd say. For sure, always being pretty friendly. And I do believe he's one of those players who loves to have the color pink for his tournament. So right off the bat, we're noticing just basically, going for some scouting around 13. Okay, he's up to 14, he's up to 15 drones. And probably going to see an expansion coming down now if it's not denied. And indeed we do see the expand coming down at 15. You don't have to be quite as fancy with your scouting as he is. And setting up thousands of rally points. And there we go, we see built one more worker and then drop the spawning pool. Let's pull up the production tab. And now of course this is ZVT, so this is versus Terran. Got a little lucky there, just some good overlord placement and stuff. Wants to make sure he kills off that SCV before the bunker finishes, and oh, he was actually being cheesed, quite interestingly. But then again, by being in his opponent's base and not being able to see anything, you can kind of, that lets you sort of know that yes, something's up. But oh, the bunker just barely finishes, and of course having to react now by throwing down some spine crawlers. Of course does have that zergling out, so we've got to keep that spine crawler from dying. So that's, and the bunker's just out of range, so the spine crawler in some ways is more important because you can outrange the bunker. And there we go, perfect timing there, just letting zerglings go in right before the spine crawler pops so that, you lose a couple but not too many. So pretty good response to cheese there. He went into the base, he saw that there was nothing being built in the base, his overlord spotted the bunker, pulled only 4 drones off the line, that was it. If that, 4 drones, and then threw down 1 spine, didn't throw down a whole bunch. Of course, now he sees the Hellions coming out, and this will probably mean a couple more spine crawlers coming down, or at least 1 more, I would assume. And right now he's able to buy some time by running his zerglings around in the base, so he knows, he knew that he was safe for a little bit because the zerglings were occupying those Hellions. And of course we do see 1 more spine crawler coming down, and the queen going on the ramp to try and prevent any sort of run by up into the main base. So that's the important part about the queen there. And yeah, you can see just excessively drony. He's up to 35 harvesters already with 3 more on the way. He's got evolution chamber and speed coming out, and you can see, just kind of like the gas. I'm not super familiar with Zerg, but so I can't tell you everything, but you can see that it's not super gas heavy the way that he plays versus Terran. This isn't, this is more or less standard, this game, even though we did get cheesed. Although, fails to scout the Banshees, so a lot of cheese this game, I would say. But, another queen on the way. That's really all you need is a few queens, and he's got the Evo chamber, so he can get spore crawlers if he needs to, which looks like he's not going to. Looks like, I'm not really sure. He's not too worried about cloak, interestingly enough. He's got really nothing to defend. Oh, there we go. I see a spore crawler finally going down in the natural, I would assume. And his poor overlord getting picked off ever so slowly. And it looks like it's now dead. As you can see though, an excessive amount of droning, now finally getting that 3rd base. Definitely that 3rd base was delayed due to the fact that he got attacked so early on by sort of cheese, and then he got the Banshee pushed in his face, so he's definitely been delayed a little bit. And now he's going for the infestation pit. You probably would have expected to see that out close to maybe the 10-minute mark, throwing down 1 spore crawler for the Banshee inside of his 3rd base mineral line. So, he knows Banshees are out there and the possibility, so just being safe. 1 is not a huge loss. Has a macro hatch in his base, because really, and look at the drones up. He just did 15 drones, And I'm just going to pause for a little bit here, and we'll go back. Okay. Now let's watch this and let's see if we can figure out why he chose to do this large drone up. Partially it's because he just had his third base hit, so his third base is ready, but you saw just a handful of Marines there, and that was the key thing. Or, well, I guess you could call it the key thing. Is, watch this again, let's slow it down a little bit. He sends his Zerglings up there, they're getting picked off, he looks and he says, okay, a handful of Marines. There might be a few more Marines, but that's all he sees right now is Marines. He knows there's a couple Banshees and Vikings out on the field, but otherwise, he just saw a bunch of Marines, and, you know, he's just making his own read that I don't expect you guys specifically to be able to make. I wouldn't be able to make that read super well to say, you know, that it's worth droning up and save to. But, yeah, so, as we can see, Infestor is now coming out. Quite important. In pretty much any matchup except ZVC. I don't think Infestors are used that much, but they're definitely useful against Marine or Marine Tank, as well as they're extremely useful against Protoss. So, you can see just working overall on creep spread, getting a little bit of a drop in his base, but he handles that extremely well. His opponent not picking up those units fast enough, so he picks up he shouldn't. Fourth getting denied, but you know, this is Zerg. Zerg wants to expand a lot, so definitely that's why he was trying to expand there. And he's just getting poked and prodded from everywhere, so he's doing an awesome job. Great fungal there, the Marines go in for this round. And you can start to see the, you know, he doesn't even have Banelings out. Like, at this point, he's been able to read his opponent. His opponent, by getting those Vikings and getting the, Vikings and the Banshees, it's really going to reduce the number of tanks he has. So that's kind of the read there, is that, okay, he won't have that many tanks. I really don't need to worry too much about anything other than just Speedlings and Infestors. Infestors will take care of the Marines if they can get in position to fungal. Speedlings as well, if they can get around. So really, you know, that would be my assumption as to how he made that read. And now going for some ultimates, it looks like. So, yeah, definitely trying to use those Infestors the best he can. Gotta be careful not to lose them, and he didn't actually, so that's good. And of course, taking that extra base, I'm surprised he hasn't taken another yet, but you know. Those Infestors just doing so much harassing damage. Quite impressive there. And I have not seen this. I have not seen mass Infestor like this. Like, sure, there's still Speedlings, but anyways, and there we go. He won that game. Let's go and watch the other one. Definitely a few little useful things. Hopefully you guys picked up on there. That is versus Terran. That was super annoying. StarCraft did not load back up into StarCraft. So anyways, let's go on and let's watch game number 2. And let's see if the STC is going to try and cheese again or not. Probably not, but maybe. And we'll see what Stephano does in another... It's always a good idea to look at a couple games, not just one game. You know. And of course, I wouldn't mind what he's doing with his worker micro on the minnow line. You know, that's higher level play, but you know, if you're a higher level player, what you want to do is you want to pair up your workers on the closest mineral patch to your hatchery. Ugh. So you want to pair up the minerals. Whoa, pair up the minerals. Yeah, and wow, look at that. Just getting the beautiful scout, seeing the low ground building, seeing that, oh yes, it's basically cheesy. Again. And going for, he's not deterred though at all. He's still going for the 15 expand, even versus scouting some form of cheese. And yeah, goes for the spawning pool, same timing pretty much. So we'll see what happens this time, as the scout was killed off before he was able to get all the information required. But he does have the most important information, and he has an overlord in the back there, which is kind of cool for him. And you gotta be careful about that SCV though, because it might try and build a bunker inside of his base. So, yep. He's making sure that he's checking for everything, keeping that Marine away, and every now and again just checking to see what that SCV is up to. Because basically what happens is the creep spread on his main base is big enough that that bunker really can't do anything wherever it can be built. So he's pretty safe in his main base. It's just sort of at that natural. So that's why when the SCV was up in his main, he wasn't super concerned. Again, we see Speedlings coming out. Note that he only has 1 out of 2 gas. Pretty, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the specific build order. We're just kind of trying to look at the general picture here of kind of some of the things he does as a Zerg player. So once again, anyone who's had some practice with ZVT, you know that you pretty much have to get that early spine. You have to have the queen for the Hellion Ras. And there we go again. Evo Chamber. I don't know Zerg well enough specifically to say why the Evo comes down so early. But, really, you can't move out and expand yet. Oh, you can't move out and expand yet because, as you can see on the mini-map, there are those Zerglings. Not Zerglings, there's the Hellions sitting out at his front door ready to pounce, so just, doing his little thing inside of his base. Another spine crawler coming down. This one actually inside the base, interestingly enough. Not too sure why he chose that, but he's going to start busting down those rocks because that is somewhere he can expand. And, oh, the drop! Wow, that was an awesome read. Having that spine crawler there allowed him to defend against the drop. And it's definitely possible that that was why he built the spine crawler in the base, is to defend against a potential drop. And as you see, he's going to move it over to that edge now, which, you gotta be careful about though, because, oh, and no, this is definitely bad for stephano. Oh, Blue Flame Hellion is getting into the mineral line. Ouch. Just dealing massive damage. But finally able to clean that off and making sure that he gets the right amount of workers back on gas. And that just really hurt a lot. You can see the upgrades taken away pretty fast. And yeah, he's kind of, there we go, macro hatch coming down inside the base. Now we see some more gas. Well, we saw some gas a little early, but a lot more now. Interestingly enough, he wants to get out a lot more Speedlings without droning up. I guess that's just because he's fully saturated on the 2 bases. I guess he doesn't. There really is no point droning up before you actually start building that 3rd base. Because right now he's just on 2 plus a macro, so really, what else will he spend his resources on? Infestation Pit coming out again pretty fast. So yeah, definitely by the 11-minute mark, or a little bit earlier, you want to be starting that Infestation Pit. Is kind of a good general way to look at it. He's grabbed the central watchtower, Zerg. Want to be active for sure, and there we can see, just being a little active there, scouting around. Creep's definitely good for vision, but it's getting taken out pretty fast. Let's slow this down for just a little bit. And as you can see, a ton of infestors coming out. And surprisingly though, this time he's not going to do the mass drone up right now. I'm not sure if he's just afraid of attack or if he wants to go for a kill yet, but I was actually quite surprised at how few. Oh, and that's going to be a nice round on those Marines right there. Wow. He's got to be careful though. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, he's got to be really careful with those siege tanks, but yes, he manages to do exactly what he needs to, but oh no, he sees the gold, and that's trouble. Seeing that Terran's been able to mine the gold. But, still, no mass drone up. I'm not sure why. This is quite different. This is not kind of the play I'm used to seeing out of Zerg players. He's being very, very aggressive on the units front. Maybe he just sees potential to win, or maybe he saw potential to lose. Not sure exactly which one. But as you can see, very, very important there. He doesn't send his whole army back to deal with the drop. He just sends enough Zerglings to be able to effectively deal with it. And he doesn't worry about sending everybody. That's very, very important to note. And once again, you can see on the minimap, he sent a few Zerglings back towards this base defense. Infested Terrans, definitely good at drawing some of the siege tank fire, as well as being able to shoot that floating command center, which now is forced to lift off and move. And oh, he's going to get some free Marine kills. And this is why he left those Zerglings back in his base, or near his base, so he can defend against these drops. Beautiful split there, dealing with both, not overstressing anything. And yeah, ton more Zerglings coming out. He's just going to be extremely aggressive. Really, really surprised to see that he has not droned up higher. That's not what I'm used to seeing, but maybe that's just a bit of his PvT. Because I'm used to watching a lot of his, I'm used to watching him play Protoss a lot because I'm a Protoss player, and I'm used to watching people play him to try and figure out how to beat his style of play versus Protoss. So, and we should be seeing, there we go, there's a mass round of drones, 15 definitely very useful. And Overlord, oh there we go, there was a medevac there. I was wondering why he went for the sent all of his units back there. Very nice, using the fungal to trap it and then kill it with a couple infested Terrans. What do we see coming down now? Oh, we see that the Terran player is basically sticking with Marine tank. Stephano still choosing to spend his gas just on the infestors and technology upgrades. Of course, Ultralisk starting to be researched. If you take a look just sort of what he has at this point, he has a macro hatch, as well as having 3 main hatcheries up, and then of course he just started the one at the gold. He's been doing a lot of upgrades, and then other than that, really, it's just a lot of infestor ling. And if you look at the number of Vespian geysers, 4 that have been mining for quite a while, and these 2 really haven't been mining that much until recently. So, you know, this build definitely going for the idea of just having a lot of speedlings, being able to throw them away when needed. But, you know, now we're getting a bit later in the game, and it's definitely going to be important to have those infestors, as well as potentially getting those ultralisks out. As you can see though, trying to just splitting up a few of the zerglings, running them around for potential, you can see him down here running the zerglings around 4. They were doing a bit of a bite in there. And yeah, very important as Zerg to put on some pressure on little parts. The same way he's been dropped from multiple locations, it's very important that he continues to put on pressure, make sure that his opponent isn't getting too many expansions for free. A lot of upgrades still on the way.
The hive cluster is under attack.
And, whoa, he's got to be careful there, doesn't want to lose those infestors, and they have to waddle away their fat bodies. I'm not really sure why he's planning for a drop right now. I didn't notice anything on the minimap, but that's kind of what it looked like. He had the zerglings in position, but there we go. He's just been waiting, banking up, saving to get out all those ultralisks, and that's why he has not been spending anything, as he wanted to get a ton of ultralisks. Oh, but now he's got a drop there. Super actually pulling those drones off. Obviously important. And notice how he puts them back as soon as these zerglings are nearby. Because what will happen is the Marines are forced to aggro on the zerglings because they're an attacking unit. So because the Marines are not melee, they cannot stand in the middle line on a hold position and hit whatever touches them. They are forced to aggro on the zerglings, so he can safely send his workers back right away. And let's see how this attack goes off. Of course, the ultralisks waddling around, not able to do the damage they really need to do. There's a lot of tanks everywhere. The fungal's not coming quite down as fast as they could, but that's because the creep has been pushed back, and the Terran player has been smart not to move on to the creep, but still able to get some fungals, and the Terrans help clean out those tanks. The only thing is, if you get the chance, you know, make sure that you get those infested Terrans as close to the tanks as possible, so when tanks shoot, the infested Terrans are doing flash damage to the tanks that you spawn them on top of. But very nice play otherwise. You know, his opponent, very good too, a lot of harassment. Beautiful fungal though, keeping those Marines from being able to escape into the medevac. Awesome death animation. And of course he's watching that medevac, so he's going to send his forces over there because he knows it's coming. And once again, as usual, just sending a few and then leaving the rest of, and then sending the rest of the army into the attack. But, you know, interesting game, very, you know, back and forth, low, no one's really getting maxed out repeatedly. Oh, it looks like he has not busted the other rock, so he will not be able to easily get around, but no, he's being dropped in the gold, so it does not matter, but he will need to go up and defend. No, he doesn't, because he has spine crawlers up here, so he doesn't really need to defend as well for that base. Completely forgot. As you can see now, just basically going infestor ultralisks with a few speedlings. Really though, we're not seeing, you know, we're seeing speedlings, but we're not seeing mass speedlings as much as before he had the ultralisk tech. So, and he's got a lot of bases, and that's about all I can say about that. Oh man. Oh man. So there you guys go though. There is a good example, I hope anyways. There's definitely an example of how to do Stephano style ZVT. Basically, you know, he goes for the standard fast expansion into lings and then speed soon after. Third base doesn't come out for quite a while, especially since he's having a lot of pressure put on him. Doesn't come out for quite a while, just goes a lot of speedlings, straight into infestors, no other tech. And then, this is against standard play, obviously. And then from there, he just goes into Ultralists and, you know, oh my god, sorry I'm yawning so much. And then he just uses his amazing ability as being Stephano to just be like, I win the game. Awesome. Okay, everybody, now we're going to jump into yet another game. We're going to be looking at a little bit of, PVZ. Oops, wrong player. There we go, now we're on the right player. Bring up production tab as well. This is going to be MC versus Stephano. So, of course, Stephano being well-mannered as usual, and this is extremely, extremely efficient. His style against Protoss been doing a ton of damage to me. Anyone on the ladder who plays it, you know, it's just very, very hard to deal with. You basically have to hope that you can all-in beat them. All in them just before the roaches pop and win then, or else you have to hope that you can just somehow stay alive to get the big death ball style of army before they can get out Broodlord. So we're seeing, surprisingly enough, oh no, not surprisingly, we're seeing him throw down the pool first because the scout's already in his base. Scout's in his base, that guarantees he's not going to be able to expand when he wants to, but he's actually able to get the expansion off. A little bit of miss micro, I would assume, from MC, as I'm pretty sure he didn't want to let that expansion go down, but, you know, the pool was already put down first, so he already knows he's delayed the expansion. And yeah, that's kind of what you just have to do with Zerg, is you just, if you know you can't get your expand right away, just throw down your pool. You really don't have a big choice. We can see that the Zerg player has made himself a queen. Anyways, chasing that probe around, making sure it's doing nothing fishing, but basically it's just MC checking for the third base, making sure it's seeing the F. And against Protoss, Zergs expand very rapidly because really, other than having to deal with, well, cannon rushes aren't super effective, so other than having to deal with like a 2-gate cheese or a 4-gate, you're guaranteed to be able to expand to your third base extremely rapidly. And of course, Forge Fast Expand, very obvious that it was that build. You have to get your third early. If you're going against Protoss, they Forge Fast Expand, you just get a fast third. It's 6 minutes into the game and his third is already active. Not just building, but it's already got larva at it and it's already ready to start harvesting, and he has some workers there now. So you're definitely going to see, if you look at the income tab, 45 harvesters are drones already. So definitely extreme macro against Protoss. You just want to make sure that you have some map control, make sure you're aware where they are, you know, that they're not going to surprise you with some sort of big push. But basically what's going to happen now is, you know, here comes a bit of a push. So I'm going to slow this down a little bit. This is definitely the tricky part here as Zerg, is you got to survive this push, because basically, yes, as Protoss, before all of these roaches pop, we have to be able to deal a ton of damage. So you can see Spine Spore Crawler coming down, interestingly enough. I'm not sure what that was about, but it served as a great distraction as the units attacked it, probably assuming it was going to be a Spine. And yeah, it's going to be very hard to hold, but he should be able to hold now, as, you know, he had to start making roaches a little earlier than he liked, but roaches are just so strong. There's really no sentries in this army. Blink, I don't believe, no, it's definitely not finished. We have not seen any blink micros. Protoss, you know, at a very weak position right now, and it's going to be extremely hard for, you know, at this point, it's, you know, as long as you keep your units alive, micro a little bit, shouldn't be too hard. But this is still an insanely heavy push, as it basically is the 2-base all-in that we're looking against. And he's not able to continue droning. Basically, if the Protoss player had not attacked him this early, he would have droned up until like 8.5, 9 minutes, and then he would have snapped over to Mass Roach, and you basically lose. Because if he has three fully saturated bases pumping out roaches, it's not a pretty day to be Protoss. Roaches are just too cheap and come out too fast. As you can see though, just able to continually hold this off, just ling roach, and, you know, basically all the gap we can into roaches, and the rest goes into lings, more or less. And there we go, finally able to hold that off, but there are reinforcements being worked here, so we have to be careful. But we've got so many roaches now that it's pretty much a guaranteed victory, even though a lot of them have taken a fair bit of damage. And Ling's coming in, pushing the stalkers back, potentially surrounding them. That will be that for that attack. And yeah, he's just completely decimated his opponent. Even building a macro hatch. No, never mind, that's upgrading to a lair. There's the macro hatch coming down. And I assume he's doing that on purpose. Notice how he is putting some units in the fog from the vent. I'm pretty sure he put those roaches there because the other roaches gave them vision, but the enemy did not have vision of those roaches, so he was able to attack without getting attacked back for those few units. Might have just happened, but might have been on purpose too. Hard to say. Definitely though, now we can see, you know, very stable now. When you've just dealt that much damage to a protoss, you know, they've been, yeah, and you come out ahead, you destroy all the army and have some units left, you know they're probably not going to be able to attack you for a while because that's just protoss. You know, we're kind of screwed at this point. So he's just got to sit in his base now, use some force fields, use those cannons behind the wall, and hope that he can live. And Stephano's taking massive advantage of that, doing heavy drone up, as well as, of course, getting his research out. And it looks like he's actually getting Zerg missile. So, interestingly enough, he might actually get some Hydralisk. I'm not too sure, unless it's just for the Queen. That is always possible. Oh no, roaches. I'm not even thinking straight. Roaches use a ranged attack, so yes. My mistake, sorry guys. I'm yawning, I'm tired, can't pay attention, can't focus. And interestingly enough, wow. Looks like he's actually expanding right outside of his opponent's base, and partially this will cut down the reinforcement time. Is probably the main reason why, is just for the point of reinforcements. But, you know, he might even start mining that. He's got such a strong contain, and, you know, even though Protoss can get out of Warp Prism and they can sneak out their base, it's not like...
Metamorphosis complete.
It's really not that common for Protoss to really sneak out their base and do that. So anyways, we will move on to the next game now. Pretty much he will be. So, you know, but definitely guys, don't feel like you have to play exactly at this level or everything, but, you know, just try and emulate some of the general things we've seen, such as, you know, the general idea of, you know, the massling into infestors and then into ultralists. A little bit of the timing with the bases and stuff, try and, you know, remember those things, and try and drone up as much as you can, but not over drone. You know, those are things you just can't always get right every single game. So, you know, you just gotta take... Okay, so I'm just gonna skip past that little bit of boring stuff in the very beginning where they're building. So now we're on to the next game with Stephano, and of course the probe being in his base, he says, screw it, I'm just gonna build the spawning pool, because with the probe in my base, especially at the high level of players, he's pretty much guaranteed that he can't get the hatchery. If he could have gotten the hatchery first, he totally would have, but yeah, he'll just get the hatchery a little later. Nope, there's a pylon there, so now he's just going to go expand somewhere else. And will he be able to make it? Oh, and he just gets blocked at the last second, not able to expand like he wanted, really being delayed a lot more, but then again, he spent his resources on something else, so. But you can see constantly hovering around that 300 mark, because he really wants to be able to expand as soon as it's possible. And there we go, the expansion will be able to go down now, and of course looking for that probe, very smart move there, able to chase it down. And the text message I got makes absolutely no sense. And there we go, the third base going down extremely fast. Of course he knows his opponent is fast expanded. And this is pretty much what you do, is you just get those 3 bases really fast. The only thing is, you'd stay on 2 bases if you know they're going to be extremely aggressive, if you know they're going to rush you in some way, you know, such as a 4-gate rush, or even just, you know, throwing a robo in there. But if they don't expand, you're pretty much guaranteed to have some heavy pressure, and at that point you're going to want to look into a little bit of static defense, potentially, but you know, well, if you know they aren't expanding because you're scouting them actively, then yes, you definitely will want a little bit of static defense, and you want to be a lot more cautious. But as you can see, a very aggressive droning. A ton of drones versus Protoss. This is basically what it's all about, is you just get enough units out to be able to deal with, you know, a stalk or zealot harass or anything minor like that, and you just make sure that you that they're, you know, you're scouting a little bit. Like, you just have to every now and again check, make sure that they haven't changed their mind. But basically, until about the 7.5 or 8 minute mark, the Protoss player probably isn't going to do absolutely anything. So, if we look back at the production tab, we see the Roach Warren just finishing up at 8 minutes, and another line of big drones. But if he had seen any attacking units, he basically has the two main, if you look here at his Overlord placement, he has the two main routes, vision. So he knew no army was coming, and that's why he was able to do another wave of drones as soon as his Roach Warren finishes. If he saw the army coming, roaches would have popped out right away. But now we're getting to see, this is just insane how this works. 63 drones at the 9 minute mark. 4 more on the way. A ton of roaches now starting to come out. And this is just scary as hell when you are Protoss. We can see Mortal coming out, surprisingly a couple cannons probably to defend the third. MC's really trying to take this to a macro game instead of just going with, you know, an all-in or blink stalker heavy push. But I don't know if he can stop this, because this is going to be extremely scary. If you look at the units on the field, we already have 14 roaches and 41 lings. Lings getting a beautiful surround, although the force field's doing a lot to keep him away. And oh, that's got to hurt just a little bit there. Definitely taking some damage he didn't want to take, but he has a lot of reinforcements coming in along the way. Getting a lot of upgrades. Burrows, tunneling claws, very important against those force fields to have burrow and tunneling claws. And if you look at the income tab, 67, almost full saturation for 3 bases. Full saturation would be closer to 70, but still, almost complete full saturation. Had that, you know, basically before 10 minutes hit, and you can just build a ton of units, get a lot of upgrades, and of course going for Infested. Infested is very important. Where 12 minutes mark, around the 12 minute mark was when he threw down the infestation pit. And being very active with those roaches and lings. He has to be careful though, because you don't want to lose too much. You definitely, but you know, he's got to be careful because he does want to make sure that third base doesn't give his opponent, you know, enough of a keep him in the game sort of advantage. But at the same time, he doesn't want to lose a ton of units at the same time. And there we go, 4th base already going up, and now it's popped. Perfect timing with the transfer there. And if you look, even more workers now. So very macro heavy. Spire actually being dropped down as well. I'm not used to seeing this, but I haven't really watched this replay before. So, but very good timing, as there's a Colossi just about to pop out, and Thermal Lance is on the way. So there's at least one Colossi. Yes, just one Colossi for now on the field. But so that Spire, definitely good timing, because he does need to go into those Corruptors and then ultimately get out Brood Lords, I do believe is his style. But you know, for now there's just a massive amount of lings. There's some roaches, and then infestors. Infestors definitely make the huge difference here, same way that using Sonic Storm versus the Terran Marine Marauder Fireball, using that fungal against Blink Stalkers is just absolutely massive, because Blink is not allowed when you are fungal. And that makes a world of difference, and a beautiful surround here, but no, it was actually a trap, and he gets caught off guard because of the blink back, and all of those zerglings die. Thankfully they're just zerglings, but that is still a lot of loss, and never fun. And look at the massive wave of corruptors. They cannot get out in time. They really need to be here a second sooner if possible, but he's doing the best he can, and oh, doing everything he can to stay alive. Letting that base fall, knowing that there's no point trying to save it right now, because he needs to wait for those corruptors to get in position to be able to snipe the Colossi, or else he is in major trouble. And now looks like the time is going to go in. Does he get some nice fungals off? Yes, he does get a couple of beautiful fungals. The corruptors getting beautiful positioning to snipe those Colossi. And as you can see though, those force fields keeping all of those units at bay for the longest time, but you know, just doing whatever he can. And there we go, the Corruptors taking out all of the Colossi, and now a lot of that force field energy hopefully having been spent. Yes, it has been. But the blink up dealing such massive damage, and looks like he might actually lose this game. But, you know, that's kind of his playstyle, and, you know, he's playing against MC, the boss toss, so he's not going to win every single game, but definitely this is a style I have a fair bit of trouble against. But MC being, you know, just beautiful on that timing, with being able to get that third up in time, to be able to macro up those Colossi at the right timing, using a lot of blink micro, having the right amount of immortals definitely helped, and those force fields, just the placement of his army, the way he was able to choose where to engage, making huge differences in that battle. But, you know, Stephano's still going for that, you know, that general idea of just, you saw that impressive macro at the beginning that was just absolutely awesome, his early macro. And then he could just start spitting out units, but he just wasn't able to break that third and, you know, cinch the victory right there. Hopefully this guys gave you a little bit of insight into Zerg. I don't know if it really will or not. I'm not a Zerg player. I'm just trying to do something for all the people who aren't Protoss out there, since that's my race. You know, and I thought, what better way than to look at a couple pro replays of one of the best Zerg players and just kind of go through it and try and figure out some of the strategies he uses against Protoss and Terran.